Hi everybody!
Hanu TheHande here, and welcome to another video where we're gonna look at some more heavy metal album covers. Now, last time I looked at the Black Sabbath album covers, and this time, like I talked about last time, I wanted to look at the Ozzy Osbourne and Dio album covers. Originally, I was going to make them their own separate videos, but I didn't realize that Ozzy and Dio both actually have a very small number of studio albums, and that's kind of been my thing here, that I always look at the studio album covers. And so I decided, hey, let's look at both of these in the same video. And yes, I am wearing the same shirt as in the previous video, but this is actually being recorded much later. I know this maybe the lighting's a little bit different now, maybe you can't tell. And sorry, by the way, I only, mentioned the other Black Sabbath singers, but of course I should have realized that in the Born Again album, it's Ian Gillan, aka the singer from Deep Purple, who was actually the vocalist on that, and then the other one who's done a vast majority of the albums where neither Dio nor Ozzy were singing, that's a guy called Tony Martin, and sorry, I feel I need to mention that. But let's get on with the Ozzy albums, and of course there's the first one, Blizzard of Oz. You know, I quite like Ozzy's albums. They do have a consistent theme, which is they really focus on Ozzy most of the time, and I actually do think that these early 80s ones are some of my favorites because they're so goddamn goofy. I mean, even in this, he's trying to be so goddamn dramatic, but he kind of looks a little bit silly. But I don't know, this one, I think it kind of works. Next we have Diary of a Madman. You know, I suppose he's being Mr. Crowley, or maybe he's like one of his followers or something. I've never noticed a little kid there before. Obviously, I don't have this album myself, but I know the songs off of it, obviously. It's a bit messy. This one, I think Blizzard of Oz is slightly better than this one. Yeah, his pants are like almost completely ripped here. Then we have Bark at the Moon. It's the werewolf Ozzy. This is one of my favorites. I really like the werewolf getup. It's just so goddamn goofy. And it works really well. It just completely, I think it goes so well with Ozzy's, sense of humor. I do think there's a little bit too much, empty space at the top there. I think the photographer for this could have done a slightly better job with that. The Ultimate Sin. This actually is my favorite Ozzy album. But most people probably only know Shot in the Dark from it, which I think is kind of sad. I think that the singles from this album don't really do it justice. I think you should listen to the whole album. So this is a painting. Really good painting. I like this. Dragon Ozzy's a little silly, but I like the detail. I think it's cool. It's a nice deviation. And that lady, of course, is from the Shot in the Dark music video, or vice versa. Very apocalyptic, very metal. This is an awesome cover. Then we have No Rest for the Wicked. This one's not really one of my favorites. I mean, the creepy girls, I guess, are kind of cool, but it's just Ozzy sitting down. It doesn't really match the energy of his earlier work so much. So this one, not one of my favorites. I think I like the goofy ones from earlier in his career. I think he's trying to be a little too suave here. Speaking of which, No More Tears. This the little angel wing is just so pathetic. It's not convincing. It's a little too. I mean, this was already in the early 90s, but it's a little too hair metal for Ozzy. I think Ozzy was, legit metal enough that he could have pulled off something a little bit darker than this. I don't think it looks bad, but it doesn't feel very Ozzy to me. Osmosis. Oh, right, that's very 90s. That's freaking weird. I don't know. I really don't like the eyes and the mouth. This one makes me genuinely uncomfortable. However, I do think it has some of my favorite songs on it. Then we come to Down to Earth. Very down to earth, like Ozzy being crucified. I suppose that's supposed to be Ozzy. It's kind of artsy-fartsy, difficult to tell. It's supposed to have that X-ray feeling. This is also very of its era, and not necessarily in a good way. It's just a little too much, in my opinion. I wish they could have done with something a little bit simpler with it. I mean, it is simple. I looked at the official artwork that's on Wikipedia. I tried to get a slightly better version of it. It doesn't even have the title on it, which is kind of weird. Then there's Black Rain. That's old Ozzy. And I don't know, I'm a little mixed on this. I do like the bleak image here. It's kind of, I think it's kind of neat, but it really does look like somebody just took a marker and like scribbled all over his face. It doesn't actually look like there's like black rain coming down. It seems. I think whatever effect that they were using here, it didn't quite work the way the photographer intended. I don't think it's bad. I think it's nice, but not one of my favorites. And then there's Scream. This is the most recent studio album that Ozzy has done. You know what? I think actually this one's pretty neat. It's pretty clean and he looks fairly majestic there. I think the angel wings are again a little too much, but I don't know. It's clean. It's nice. It's not one of my favorites. I think my favorites are the ones from the early 80s. I just love the goofy energy that Ozzy had in those. But at the same time, I do have to applaud that Ozzy has been so forward about like having himself as the kind of main image of his act. I mean, he is that, but there's a lot of like other singers, like we're about to get with Dio, who maybe aren't as comfortable with that. You could also argue that maybe some of the later, you know, the early 90s photographs, like maybe they were kind of running out of ideas, but they could have still done like goofy stuff with him. I think the 80s covers were really the best ones, and I don't hate these newer ones. The ones in the middle, the sort of 90s, 2000s those were a little not really my thing. Okay, we're already done with Ozzy, so let's go on to Dio. And of course, we have to start with Holy Diver. Now, big reveal here. I don't really like the song Holy Diver myself. I love most of Dio's work, but Holy Diver is actually one song that I don't like. But I do think this album is fucking awesome. I think most of Dio's album covers are pretty freaking awesome. They're usually these kind of painterly ones, and then there's the demon guy who is like the kind of, I guess he's like Dio's Eddie, basically. And yeah, that's a very, very powerful image. I love this. This is a really strong image, and it gets very much to the core of what Dio's views are, personal views are. I'll admit a few of these are going to get a little artsy-fartsy, and I'm not a big fan of that, but yeah, but this one is really cool. This is awesome. Then we have Last in Line. I've never actually had a good look at this one, but I never realized like how much detail there is. I guess because I've only glanced at it, it's just a demon guy and some kind of landscape. But no, there's a bunch of these people here, all this nice detail. This looks like, I'm going to say the same thing about this that I said about Mob Rules for the Black Sabbath albums. It looks like the cover of a comic book, and actually it looks like really, really cool. Sacred Heart. Ooh boy, I have this album, and I am not a fan of the artwork in this. It just... I think where they're going, it has a slight mix of slightly more contemporary detailed artwork with the hands, but the dragon has almost kind of a medievally art style to it, and honestly I'm just not a big fan of that. In fairness, I don't think I really like this album that much. There's a couple of good songs on it, but yeah, this is my least favorite of the ones so far. Then we have Dream Evil. Jesus, that looks awkward. I mean, it's just, this thing is just full of cliches. There's the, there's the monsters under the bed, and then there's the girl, presumably, I don't know, sucking her thumb. I mean, seriously, is that the one you're gonna go with? I mean, the only thing about this whole picture that I like is the demon guy. I don't really like the colors. Even the colors are kind of, it's kind of messy, and just really not a big fan of this one. Lock up the wolves. Them doggos need a dentist appointment. I don't know what freaking Grim Reaper guy who's holding the chains there. It honestly looks like to me, like that's supposed to be his left hand on his right side. I might be looking at it kind of funny, but it really does look like that. I don't know what to say about this. It looks... Hey, the wolves, they don't really look like wolves. They just look like weird mutant guys, and I don't know what the hell this dude with the antlers is supposed to be. Yeah, I don't know. This kind of cracks me up. It's not. It looks really messy. It's not. This one is just kind of it's a bit of a shit show. I'm gonna be honest. Strange Highways. Hey, this is another artsy-fartsy one. This feels very 90s as well. I do like the perspective aspect of this. I do like the whole thing that where you're kind of sinking into the void. but then you have all these kind of symbols flying around. I'm not a big fan of this one either. I think this is better than the last two, but it just kind of creeps me out. I'm not a big fan of this. Angry machines. I repeat, them doggos need a dentist appointment. It's funny, I'll give it that. I prefer this one to the slightly weird ones that we've had up till now. But okay, Magica. Making me really uncomfortable. True story. I was looking for the pictures on this online. I found an animated version of this, and it's like, yeah, you think this fucking face looks creepy. You know, you gotta look for that one. I don't know whose face that's supposed to be, or if it's anybody's face. It's just, yeah, look, the effect is immediate. I think we can all agree it does exactly what it's supposed to do. It makes you uncomfortable. Moving on. Killing the Dragon. Oh, fuck yeah. That's a good cover. That looks awesome. This, again, looks like a cover of a comic book. It's really cool and stylish. I fucking love dragons. I guess I should probably point that out. Sacred Heart also does have a dragon, but it's just kind of derpy looking. This one, this is how you do a fucking proper dragon. And this is the last one, Master of the Moon. Again, this looks like the cover of a comic book, and I really like it. I'm not sure who this demon dude is supposed to be, but I love the details on this. It's very clean, very professionally made, and yeah, this was the last studio album that Dio made. Then of course he did a bunch of those like Heaven and Hell albums and things like that, but you know, no more studio stuff as far as I know. I could be wrong about that. All right, but those were the Ozzy and Dio album covers, and let's see. I don't intend to make too many more of these where I react to album cover art. I hope that the next heavy metal video, whatever it is that I'm going to do, is going to actually discuss like an actual topic about heavy metal. But I hope you still enjoyed watching that. So until next time, I'm TheHande, and see you on the next one.